Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is In A Barbie World,
The podcast where we look at every Barbie movie from 1987 to the present day.
from fairy tales to literary classics.
From Mariposa to Mermaidia.
It's time to get unboxed,
Readjust your lippy
rock the ball gown.
and let's get our Barbie on.
Barbie, Bolon, the princess and the star.
So, I like a remake of one of our favourites in a way.
Yeah, currently sitting at number 2, Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper, 2004. This is 2012's Barbie, the Princess and the Popstar, clearly trying to relive some of the success that they found, and it was a fan favourite. And by this point, I imagine they would have become aware of that, especially with the internet.
I mean, it's 10 years, 20 films later.
Yeah. Based on an 1881 novel, in theory. I'm not going to lie, my expectations going in were so high because the first one is so, and like, it's not the first one because this isn't a sequel in a sense, but I'm going to consistently refer to it as the first one because it's sort of a reimagining, I think they would call it these days.
Yeah.
And I was so excited, and the opening is freaking incredible. I think I literally wrote, this is possibly the greatest opening we've ever seen. We get introduced to the princess and the pop star through a mashing up of the two songs, one which is Girls Just Want to Have Fun, but Princesses Just Want to Have Fun, and an original number from the pop star. And it's so excitingly edited and put together, and the song is really high energy, and it's fan-bloody-tastic.
So, we're going to hold our fire about how we feel. I have a confession to make. And this is a dark confession, but it's only you and me here, right,
Sure,
Emily?
sure.
No one else is going to hear, right? So when my kids were growing up, not only did they watch Barbie movies, but they used to watch something else on TV. And I've got to admit, I fucking loved it. I loved Hannah Montana, right?
Yeah.
Really, really fucking loved Hannah Montana. And I'm sure I made them watch it more than they enjoyed watching it. And I don't know why, because it's a stupid...
It's fun.
Well, but, you know, it's a Disney show with morals and blah, blah, blah. It was quite fun watching Miley Cyrus go off the rails at the end and blah, blah, blah. I have no real interest in Miley Cyrus as an artist now. But then I loved Hannah Montana. That's the vibe I was getting from this. Not that it was about a girl that is a normal girl by day, pop star by night. It isn't quite that. But I just got this whole... Here's some people with high aspiration... Here's two people who've got jobs that they shouldn't be fucking moaning about.
Oh, tell me about it. Karina
Yeah,
lives. I was like, sweetheart, you need to reel this in.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so hard.
so
Actually, the
hard
songs
to
for my new album. Yeah.
And you're like,
Or I'm a princess with a magic fucking comb. Stop moaning about your lives. However, and I've got a feeling I like this more than you in general because I really fucking enjoyed it because it's giving me that whole...
I know what you mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hannah Montana was a big influence in it because it would have been around the same era.
It's a bit after. I did double check this to see if they were literally going for that, but it's a bit after it. But, you know, in the same... Hard to tell, wasn't it? Because things on the Disney Channel are repeated ad nauseum, so I probably wouldn't even be aware when it stopped. It was probably still going, but it's got that Disney Channel feel to it, where these kind of cool people are maybe they're relatable, maybe not, but they're in these sort of high aspiration jobs.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the feel I got. And I was able to, you know, I'm not really big on songs and music, right? I mean, I like music, but I don't like musicals. My heart sank when I realised. But I thought all these songs were all pretty fucking good, actually. There's one that's like from Legally Blonde, isn't it? That they cover.
It's the cover, yeah. It's the song that opens Legally Blonde, Perfect Day.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the songs.
But I think I wasn't really watching it. I was just having it on as like a background album.
Right.
Where there were these I kind of like that kind of poppy, fake manufactured poppy, high energy pop stuff. Yeah, that's my bag.
Yeah.
And so I was enjoying it for that. Whether I liked the story or not, whether I was really invested in these two characters, which I really struggled to tell apart.
And like the first Princess and the Pauper movie made such an effort to give us two distinct personalities that we grew to love and care. And when they switched, it was like a thing. It was like a thing. They were like, oh my God, like the first thing they realized is that they look the same. That's the first thing that they realized. Like the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap. It's like, oh, we have the same face. They didn't do that here. It took them ages of talking to one another, but still going, oh, we look the same. And like the others managed to do that with the different hair colors, whereas these guys took fucking forever. And it wasn't until they literally changed places that they were then like, oh, we look the same. And I was like, what? Why are you only just having this realization now?
Nobody else noticed.
Like, it was so weird. It was so weird. And like, their abilities are so distinct. Like in the other one, it was so much more grounded in reality. And I know we're talking about a movie that I can't fucking remember now, but there was probably, there was talking animals, but they could only talk to each other. It just, even though the first one was a medieval musical, it felt so much more grounded in reality than this modern day one, because we had fucking fairies, we had people being able to sing like famous pop stars, like, and nobody noticing the difference. And we had a fucking magic hairbrush and a magic microphone, and we sort of understand the origin of the magic hairbrush. We're never told the origin of the magic microphone. I hate it. I hated it. I hated its carelessness and its disrespect to the audience, where when I first got introduced to the concept of a magic hairbrush, I was like, wow, I've just had an amazing opening. I'm really on board. Like, girls just want to have fun. Like, let's fucking go. Oh, I love this dog. Like, this is going to be so good. And then it just took the piss. And I started to get really annoyed at these, like, bratty women who I don't know. Just most of the movie is montage. I don't know anything about them or care. The other dog was really fucking annoying. Both dogs were really annoying.
So
I just couldn't help but compare it to the first one.
Yeah. So the princess, Kira, is that her name? No, Tony.
No, Tony, Victoria.
Tori. Right. She's got a King Charles Spaniel girl dog.
Yeah.
With crimped ears.
Wow.
And the Kira is the pop star, with purple hair, who has a Spike the Bulldog type thing with a pink Mohican.
Yeah.
Is that how best to explain it?
Yeah.
And to start with, they're fine, apart from when they're together, then they start talking to each other in the voices you expect them to talk with.
Which the cat
we've seen before.
To be fair.
Yeah, we've seen this before. But these two just
funny and interesting and not overused, whereas these weren't. The jokes were so forced, and they hated
barely there, and they had no subplot. So we've had it before, where there's like a secondary plot or a secondary running joke, where we've had something like that. I'm thinking about Fashion Fairy Tale or one of those ones, which I think I'll always go back to because I really enjoyed them. But there was like a subplot, the one with the fashion house. That is a Fashion Fairy Tale, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where there was a sort of sub-story going on where they were doing their own kind of thing, and it was just, you can take it or leave it. These guys didn't really do anything other than be there, and I thought the designs were horrible.
Oh, awful.
And I thought I couldn't literally tell the difference between the... Ironically, Kelly Sheridan only plays one of the characters.
Yeah.
So they've put different voices in, so it should be easy. But honestly, if you pause the movie at any time, I would not be able to tell you which character was Tori and which character was Kira at any time.
And you're meant to be able to tell because of the necklaces. They both have a very similar necklace, which again, like, what?
I mean, very fucking similar. Their little young princesses, they knew it right away.
Oh God, instantly. And this thing, and just to like do a side rant, like Prince and the Pauper is very similar to Cinderella. They are beloved ancient, but like, you know, really old stories across that are known across the world, and they're very popular, and they have a lot of remakes, but they are very easy to get right. They are seldom done right. The reason The Princess Switch with Vanessa Hudgens on Netflix is an amazing example of a good Prince and the Pauper story is much like how Ever After, a Cinderella story with Drew Barrymore, 1996, is an excellent example of a Cinderella story. You have to ground it so it makes sense. You can put whatever you want on it as long as you make sure that the foundations are solid. In Ever After, a Cinderella story, if she leaves the house, he will become ruined. She will die on the streets, basically. We know that. And as a fact, we accept it. And therefore, she has to stay in the house. Prince and the Pauper, you have to give a good reason as to why they switch, why they remained switched, how people don't realize that it's them that's been switched. You have to put these foundations in place so I'm okay with what's happening, and then the shenanigans can ensue. And very often with She's the Man is another excellent example of it. Person that would 100% know that that's Amanda Bynes and not her twin brother isn't allowed to fully see her face up close while she's dressed as her brother, because we know that she recognizes her, so they don't allow it. They don't just suddenly randomly be able to dupe this character. Otherwise, that would throw everything out of proportion. And in comparison to the Drew Barrymore one, the Lily James one, why don't you leave, Cinderella? Just fucking leave. Oh, well, my parents loved that house and now I love that house. What? So you're willing to put up with actual servitude because you love a house? Why in the fuck should I root for you now? Like, that is pathetic and stupid. And it was the same here a little bit. Oh, they both wanted the same thing and they thought they could get it from each other's lives. That's not necessarily a bad setup. But by having a pauper, it allows the whole point of this story, I think, is that you put the monarch amongst the people and they make good changes for the sake of the people. And there was subplots about droughts and diamonds, but it never quite fitted together, and it was also shallow.
Well, it's like I said at the beginning, right? You've got two people with high aspiration jobs, right? So it's like the princess and the princess. Frankly, they might as well have just gone to different kingdoms. Now, So the whole you've hit the nail on the head. That is the problem with this, right? They've got really fucking shitty. The princess has got no fucking problems at all, right? The princess has got the best.
Single one.
There's nothing. Oh, she's got to write a speech.
Oh, no,
that's the worst thing she's got to do, which is fucking unrealistic. You don't think Kate writes her own speeches, do you? But anyway, forget about that. And the pop star, again, high aspiration job. What her problem was, she wasn't doing a fucking job. But what she was doing was, she was doing a concert and then saying, and now I'm going to write an album the same night. Actually, she just planned her day a bit better. Yeah. She would have been all right. She was trying to, and she was a control freak. But that never seemed
to have lots of control. So if she wanted to go back to basics and release an album that was mainly acoustic, which seemed to be her problem, she wanted to sing from the heart, and they weren't letting her. She had so much control over her own career, it seemed, that if she wanted to release an acoustic album, no one was going to bloody stop her.
Yeah, she could have done a fucking Taylor Swift, couldn't she? They just never. I just didn't care. The other thing is, you pointed out, so the kingdom, so the princess is exposed to the fact that there's been a drought and that people can't afford to go to this concert, which I didn't realise.
Which, again, it's not like we're talking about people. We're not in a cosy lives. We're not in a cosy lives in this kingdom. They just can't afford £100 tickets to go see your local Taylor Swift, which, like, I can't afford to go see Taylor Swift, but I'm still all right. I'm in a cosy lives. But
I didn't really get the sense that there was... the king seemed a nice fella, her dad. Yeah. Her arm was a bit of a a bit of a pain, but she wasn't horrible.
Yeah, she wasn't horrible.
She just wanted her to write a speech. Oh, bless. So I never even got the sense that this was a horrible place to live. This drought thing came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And
as with the diamonds, like there are fairies in this movie that turn into a magical diamond tree, and you're like, "I'm sorry, I meant to root for you, Miss. I'm now learning about the drought." Because
again, I may have switched off and just was listening to the music while doing something else, but I thought that so there's this hidden in the middle of a castle. There's this magical greenhouse behind a mystery door. Where's a gardenia plant, which basically, I don't know what it does. It just grows diamonds.
It grows diamonds, yeah.
But later on in the film, and I thought that was just where the wealth of the country came from. But then it suddenly was like the heart and soul of the country. It was like had this mystical property. I'm sorry, I may have missed it, right? Because it's been a week since I watched it.
I couldn't tell you either.
But I don't remember it. It just came from nowhere. Let's not even talk about the Ken. Like,
oh, what Ken? Like,
what?
Again, in the original, they take the time for us to get to know both Kens who are going to match make with our princess and pauper by the end. And they are functional to the plot, and they are helpful, and they are useful. Like the villains in this, everyone else seemed redundant, and they felt afraid to give our main characters any flaws beyond. They're both awful, bratty people, in theory, but fundamentally the movie's like, oh look, she's fun-loving and not so flawed. Well, how is fun-loving going to tie into her then being a pop star? Because it wasn't like Kira wasn't fun-loving. Like, they're not going to teach each other valuable lessons of the importance of.
They had no extremes. They were just nice girls, right?
Yeah.
That. All right, a little bit pandered to.
Chill out, yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't exactly huge crises, and
where she's like, in order to be a princess, you need to learn that you have breakfast in bed. And then she went, well, in order to be a pop star, you have to know that you go to hotels and order room service. And I'm like, what are these lessons?
Yeah. Yeah, these are weird lessons. And I think the critical thing is you could have had a film called Barbie the Princess or Barbie the Pop Star. And just drop the fact that there were two characters that looked the same, and you could have had the same plot. You could have had this magical flower that sustains the kingdom, and that one of these characters, whether it's the princess or the pop star, saves the day.
Yeah.
There was no need for two of them.
Yeah.
Right? And then in both cases, that high job, the other one just was able to do. Just with no nonsense, no problem at all. Oh, I'm a princess and I'm up on stage, but you know what? I can suddenly sing
and play guitar.
I play guitar, which I may or may not have been able to do before, but it was never mentioned.
And all of the choreography, which was like alluded to, but like.
That's right. I think it was there. And so there was a bit of world building that was missing. We could have had a lot more time, maybe drop a song and show that.
Maybe drop a villain. There were like two villains. There was like Kira's manager and Tori's aunt, and neither of them were good. And there was an interesting premise in theory. When we were introduced to the primary villain, which is Kira's manager, who was a has-been, and there's a funny tale of his backstory where he was a chipper chipmunk or something at the age of 14. He was famous, beloved by audiences all around the world, and then he hit puberty, and then he's out of there. That I was literally looking at it and I was like, that's a really good villain and a good villain backstory for another movie. Like, I don't want it in this movie because it's already better than the two women you've just introduced me to, and I should be rooting for the princess and the pop star, not this has-been, because he's fun and more interesting than those two. Like, put that guy in another movie and give me a proper villain for this movie, for the problems that we're going to face here, because the diamond tree has nothing to do with the princess or the pop star switching places. Surely the main stakes should be around the fact that they've switched places, not
and that they can't both do the job that the other one's doing. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't so the fella that did the voice actually was nominated for awards for his voice work as they.
Really?
I thought that was the worst bit of it for me. Not the character. I didn't think his voice matched the character at all.
No, it was off, wasn't it? It was so
It
off.
was. And I was really surprised when I went to my favourite website, Barbie Movie Wikis, where I found out this is Britney Spears' favourite film.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just didn't think the voice matched the character or the visuals of the character. And I'm thinking, am I wrong here? Because he took me out of it a bit. But again, I know what you're saying. I could have dealt with one or the other, right? The stepmother, no, it's an aunt, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the aunt could have been a mother, right? There's no reason there wasn't a mother there, right? There's nothing here saying, oh, the king was a bad father and couldn't look after his children, or there's no sense that the the aunt had moved her sister out of the way. All the classic fairy tale tropes weren't there. She was just a bit fussy, and she wanted her to act like a fucking princess, right? Which I've got to say, if you're a princess, that's the least I expect of you. Yeah? I think go to a few fucking balls and make a couple of speeches. What? That's not very put upon, is it? She wasn't being asked to marry somebody that she didn't like. She wasn't being asked to. She wasn't being hidden away from the country or anything. This is a fucking...
Because it was set in modern day, you couldn't put any of those more old-fashioned...
That's right. Well, but her life was...
stakes on
the
her.
worst thing that happened was she wasn't allowed to go to a concert until she'd written a fucking 10-minute speech. That is nonsense. So there was this lack of... The princess bit.
But then she literally invited the same pop star to her house for tea the following day, and that was like an official invitation for an event that she hosted. So even if she missed the concert, she could have then ordered for the concert to just have been redone in her living room the following day because they were there anyway.
Yeah, or just play me a couple of songs on the fucking guitar and piano as a private thing. The fact they were just
really familiar with the pop star very quickly.
Absolutely. Well, they're straight away in her bedroom, weren't they? Still not noticing they looked at each other. And that was the bit that really got me.
Honestly, it annoyed me so much. And the villain had his own villainous side. He had his own like LeFou, which again, I was like, this movie is an hour and 15 minutes. I need you to stop wasting time on like villain buffoonery, because we've got, I hope, lots of plot to get underway. Like, so much happened in the first movie, from what I remember. There were people getting stuck in coal mine carts and making dresses and singing songs that actually progressed the plot, because as nice as these songs were, the plot stopped, they sang a song, and then the plot resumed.
Well, because they're not songs about driving the plot along. They're just songs that a pop star is singing in concert. Yeah,
they're like British Showman songs.
Yeah,
where they just and here's a song that could be played on the radio.
Yeah.
Which it's weak. It's weak. Like, if you're going to do a musical. I just found it really annoying. And I absolutely hated the magic hairbrush and microphone. So the hairbrush and microphone, the hairbrush changes your hair and the microphone changes your outfit. And so the switching back and forth is firstly magical, which I despise. Like, I think that's awful as a premise.
It's just cheap. It's cheap writing.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so lazy. The whole point of this is you want shots of someone half in a wig, putting on shoes, having to change in and out of their outfits to bump into the right people. That's the whole thing that you sign up for when you do a 12th Night or a Prince and the Pauper. Like, that's what you sign up for. And by introducing this aspect, you take all of that buffoonery away. So then you have to give it some fucking pointless character.
And there's two of them.
His shitty slapstick.
But there's two of them that look the same. So there's the fella that's, like you say, like the because the two like fellas with beards, aren't there? There's one that's with I can't remember the name of her manager. It's got a stupid name like Chiffon or something. So there's one something that's with him, but there's another one that works. It must be working at the concert as well. That I thought they were the same person, but they're not. They're different. Do you know what I mean? They both got the same character model or something, but they are different characters.
And there's the stage manager woman as well, who's also there. Which again, there's too many characters
that achieve nothing.
Like reduce it down and strengthen them up. What are you playing at?
I mean, and
why does the king exist? We could just have the aunt. And she could learn the error of her ways and learn to chill out a bit or something. Why also have the king?
Yeah, it was just...
It's so weird.
It was weird. And the aunt just felt like she belonged in Princess Charm School. She would have fit in there. Well, she wasn't extreme. No, because she did nothing. I'm sorry. I know I'm a parent and I've probably got a different view on things, but she was not asking that any of those children to do anything at all.
She really wasn't. And this thing, I think, again, in the first one, because it's medieval monarchy, there were actual, things where it's as a princess, you have these extreme responsibilities, probably marrying a man you've never met or something, and doing your tutor, doing your lessons, and just work. Whereas they tried to make it out the princess had some work to do and it was really annoying and she couldn't laze around all day. But actually what we saw her doing was barely anything at all. Kira seemed to be in control of her own career. I know there was the overarching manager who would have dropped her from the label if she didn't produce an album that by the end of that week. But again...
But they weren't going to, were they? Because she was doing concerts that were filling entire countries. Fucking, there was no threat at all.
This is the thing. When they first introduced backing dancers in the opening number, my brain immediately was no. Because again, the princess and the pauper don't have any other friends or close people other than their cats. And that's how they sort of get away with this and meet each other and have this friendship. Where I was she's got a whole entourage. Why is she going to need to go hang out with the princess and need anything from her if her emotional needs are being met by an entire entourage of backing dancers that she spends day and night with on tour? I thought this was going to be a down on her luck, aspiring singer who
if it was
alone with maybe her tour manager.
I can re-pitch this and it would have worked. The princess and the busker.
Yeah.
The princess and the busker. That would have worked.
Straight away.
There's just it was like it's Princess Diana and Madonna.
Yeah.
Oh, woe is me. Life is so tough. I'm not demeaning what Princess Diana went through, but you know what I mean, right?
Of course. Just
these are not
very hard to empathise.
Now, you mentioned the fairies. So in this magical place, there are 3 fairies tending it, and they nearly did something spectacular with the fairies, and then they walked back from it. Because I can't remember where I've seen this before, but I've seen stories, films, maybe it's in comic books, I can't remember, where fairies are not nice, and actually they're kind of evil little things with sharp teeth and whilst you think they're cute, they reverse that and they show them to be evil little shits, right? They nearly did that with this, which I'd have thought would have been fascinating, because when Kira tries to touch the flowers, they sort of turn on her quite animalistic, and I thought, that would have been cool, but no, they just fucking wimp out and they start giving them free diamonds and stuff like that. And just if you're going to live in this weird world where there's magic hairbrushes and fairies and flowers that spew out diamonds, but so there's a kind of an acceptance that this magic world exists alongside. Again, I'm all right with that. I think there's a really interesting...
It's not the end of the world, but again, it's that only the royal family are allowed to know about it. And then Tori showed the very first person that she made a friend out of before meeting her in any way. So again, no wonder the aunt is, and she left the door open behind her whilst doing it. So no wonder
17 years old.
What are you doing? Please stop this. Yeah. And she's like, you're so unfair. And it's you have no idea.
But she's not Rapunzel. She hasn't been hiding in a fucking tower on her own without seeing anybody. This was not...
She's got sisters. She's got people that live in the castle with her. She's got a father. She's got an aunt. Like,
she's got Ken lusting after her in the weediest way possible. I mean, he really was pathetic. What was the point? I could live without Ken.
Didn't even have a name. Like, there didn't need to be a Ken in this movie.
I don't even know who he... I think he did get introduced, but I don't know what he was. There's a funny bit. There's a funny bit. Oh, that's right, because Liam is not the fucking royal name, right? No prince ever.
It's a One Direction name, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there we go, 2012. But yeah, there's a funny bit where one of them fell on the other. It's fairly routine, but that right.
Yeah.
And there's the stupid bit where he jumps on. Again, there's a really cool bit, right? So another bit I liked was, I can't remember who's who. So I'm guessing it's Tori needs to get back to the castle because she realizes what's going on, but she's has the appearance of Kira, and so she tries to get on the royal coach. And the coachman won't let her do it because he thinks she's the other one. And then in front of him, she changes her hair using the magic hair brush, and he doesn't know what to do. Anyway, she goes off and takes agency for herself, and she rides the carriage. And then for some reason, the prince is just hanging around in the street.
Yeah.
Why? Why wasn't he? I think he was meant to be at the concert. He gets on, and there's a comedy sort of on one wheel round corners kind of nonsense as they get back. You could have walked there in 2 minutes. Do you remember that it panned out? It's next. Yeah. The stadium is next door.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then he's just there, but then takes no part in the action and just makes a joke about, I might vomit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's all he does. Unnecessary. Another character that we can get rid of.
Like, we don't need a love interest. Or if we do, make it part of the fucking movie.
Make it come to anything in the end, and it doesn't. It's just there, and I don't even think he's a doll to sell. There's the what's the other bit I thought was hilarious? So Kira finishes her concert, walks out, and starts saying, I'm so busy. We've got to work out for tomorrow's concert some new choreography. Her choreographer just walks by. She says, I want it to be like this. And she does like two little moves.
Like a whole move.
Yeah. And then they go, just like that. Yeah, okay, we'll do a new one. That's not how any of this works. That's not how choreography works. You wouldn't just do it for tomorrow like that. And I get it. I get what they're trying to say. But what was that all about? Because it never led to anything. So one of the things about movies and TV shows is very little happens randomly, right? However you may think about it, everything has been deliberately put in place and is meant to service the plot in some way or the other. Whether it can just be colour, but by doing that choreography thing, it makes you think we've got a character here who's a choreographer and that move has been taught. You think that's going to go somewhere, but no. It's another character that just gives nothing.
The reason Paddington 2 is such a good film is because they lay down a lot of things in the first act that then come back round to completion in the third act. And that is how movies work, and that is what makes them good. I call it plant and payoff. It's not called that, it's called something else, but it's my favorite thing, and that some of the best movies in the world are the ones that do it to death, and they do it brilliantly. And yet that did not happen here. There were lots of plantings that never got paid off. There were some payoffs that had never been planted, and it was all just a bit all over the place. Don't do anything unless it's necessary.
It was. Yeah, it was just... Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get so angry because, like I said, on the first watch, I kind of enjoyed it. But I think I enjoyed it probably because I very quickly had clearly become disengaged with the story. And I was just treating it like an hour-long music video.
Yeah.
And that probably, whilst a bit like a sugary snack, it was kind of enjoyable at the time. But there's nothing more here. I never want to watch it again.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
gosh.
not as egregiously bad as some of them.
Want to rewatch the original Princess and the Pauper.
Yeah, I can absolutely get that. And there were things, there were ideas there. It was just we've talked about this before, where there's been ones where you think with a little bit more effort.
Yes, yeah.
What was it? The Magic of the Pegasus. I think that was the one, wasn't it? Where we just thought, with a little bit more, with another 20 minutes around the table,
nailed it.
or one more polish of the script, this could have been superb. I don't think this was ever going to be superb
100%.
because I think it's flawed at its fundamental idea. Right, The Princess and the Popstar is flawed, but with a bit of stripping out of a few characters, creating a singular villain. I'm not as bothered whether it was the manager or the aunt, but let's just make it one of them and make it a genuine threat.
Yeah.
Lean into or get rid of the magic. You can have one or the other, not this kind of weird, there's some magical stuff and we're all going to go for it. And that was the whole thing. I don't think it ever lent into anything. They were too similar. Even though different people had the voices, I couldn't really tell. But it's all very generic-y, American-y voice. The sisters, the two younger princesses, we've seen them before. Yeah, we know.
Again, like,
they were nice enough, but they were never under any. No one was.
Edition.
They could have kidnapped them or something.
Kelly.
Yeah,
the movie. Pointless otherwise.
Yeah, it just lacked genuine threat and genuine conflict, and all stories have some kind of conflict in them, right? Whether it's mild or strong, and there was nothing. The only thing was that Tori had to get back from a stadium to her castle where she lived, which was a 2-minute walk. That was it. That is the only thing in the whole, because not everything else was neutered. Kira could be the princess pretty fucking easily once she knew what her dad looked like, and Tori knew how to sing in front of a audience and make up a song in a several thousand people audience. And let's face it, she'll be used to working crowds and in front of people anyway. So it was just lacking that. So yeah, I feel
disappointed.
Yeah, but I did enjoy the songs.
I did like the song.
I've got to keep going. You know, this is not as egregiously terrible as the third Fairytopia movie, right? This hasn't made me as angry as, or probably hasn't made you as angry as Mermaid Tale, right?
I think it's the poor thing is suffering as well from comparison. If Princess and the Pauper hadn't existed, or they hadn't tried to pull this off as a reimagining of that, I perhaps might have been a bit more fairer on it. But as it is, it's no Diamond Castle, but it's no Musketeers.
Yeah, and it's right, and we're going to go to the listing. we're going to go and have a look at our
I know where I want to put it, and I'll be interested to see if you agree.
Okay, a Barbie World leaderboard. Here we go. Magical Willow.
Over on Letterboxd, if you want to join in, dear listener.
Yes, please join in. We should put it in the description of the advert. So let's have a look. So right at the bottom, Magic of the Rainbow, which I fucking hated. Diamond Castle, which we both fucking hated.
Loathed.
And Thumbelina, which I especially hated.
Oh yeah, did not care for Thumbelina.
Mermaid Tale, which I think you hated and I thought was all right. And then A Perfect Christmas, which was dreadful. Right. And then we get to Barbie Rockers Out of This World, which I've got to thank you again. You came good, Emily, and made my Saturday when that... I thought, what the fuck is that? Emily has found me the Funko Pop for Barbie Rockers. Anyway,
it's beautiful. I've got one as well. She sits on my dresser and she's gorgeous. We're not. This isn't an advert for Pop Winos or Funko Pops, but
no,
they're adorable.
Wonderful. It came. I thought the postman knocked on the door Saturday morning. I thought, what the fuck is this? I haven't ordered anything, and it's like. It's not in the shape of anything I would order. And then I looked, I thought, oh my gosh, you didn't tell me you'd done it or anything. I didn't even know you knew my address. That was the thing. So well done. Anyway, my point is, for me, Barbie Rockers Out of This World at number 18 is the point where actually I don't mind these movies, right?
Yes.
Got my issues with it with Nutcracker. I really like the Island Princess, Rapunzel, but they're all in that kind of world. So because I like the songs and because I sat through it without getting upset, I still would rather listen to this than watch Barbie: A Perfect Christmas again, which I think is the most anodyne.
Have a Christmas. Sorry, I thought you were going Christmas.
Yeah.
Carol. Oh,
No. I'm thinking about putting it at number 19.
Oh, same. Literally same. Like, that is exactly where I wanted to put it. Under Rockers Out of This World and above Perfect Christmas.
For me, Rockers Out of This World is the bare minimum.
Yeah.
For enjoyment, which is still pretty good. We've got 24 movies, and number 18 is the point where I would say don't bother.
Yeah.
We're usually fairly on board within a place or two, but having it exactly there was quite bizarre.
I think you're right though. It's not quite going up into the like realm of goodness, but it's not going to be down in the depths with Magic of the Rainbow. So.
No, I would consider it like a TV episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's utterly harmless, but it does not have anything dramatic going on to make it deserve to be a film.
Yes.
Which is how I feel about Perfect Christmas as well. They both to me are like, well, yeah, okay, but what's the problem?
Yeah.
And neither of them have a problem to be solved.
And like if you're just tuning into this podcast for the first time and you haven't gone back and listened to any of the episodes, like we have come to expect excellent characterization, full-on character arcs, in-depth villains, brilliant stakes. Like, they are capable of all of these things, these movies. So when they don't do them, it's disappointing because we know that they're better than this and they're just being lazy.
Yet again, this sadly was another one where my DVD didn't play and I had to get at it. What I am disappointed to see is that there are nearly 20 outtakes, which must go on nearly as long as the movie.
So I rented this from YouTube, so the credits rolled, and I didn't get to the end of the credits because I was running late as it was, but nothing was coming up, and so
they mostly seem to be characters dancing.
Oh, every time they can't help themselves.
Yeah,
very DreamWorks of them.
In fact, they all seem to be. Kreider and Rupert dance in the secret garden. Nora tries to teach Daniel a dance, but he can't do the moves properly, so I don't think it's as funny as some of those earlier ones, but there's a lot there. Did you know there was a different plot originally?
Oh, was it a good one?
I'm hard to look at the difference. I'm going to read it out if we've got time very quickly. Bethany is a shy princess who dreams of being a pop star. Zoe is a brash pop star who longs to be a princess. The two meet and become fast friends. Bethany even reveals her kingdom's secret, an orchid that produces a beautiful diamond. They also discover with the help of a little shared magic, they can swap places and see what it's like living in each other's shoes. Are you struggling to see the difference other than the names?
Yeah, and like I guess the princess wasn't that shy.
And actually this actually works better for me. So Kreider, Zoe's evil manager, discovers the secret of the diamond orchid, formulates a plan to steal it. Zoe and Bethany work together to defeat him and save the orchid, which I'd prefer under the gardenia. The gardenia's a bit specific, orchid is special. And the kingdom's magic, and they celebrate by putting on an amazing concert for the kingdom, which actually I would have preferred if that was the end result, not something that's going on during the third act. And then each girl learns something about themselves. The princess learns the strength of being confident, and the pop star learns the joys of being unselfish. So it's interesting, at least originally they had flaws.
They were a bit more distinctive flaws, yeah.
And Dame Devon, if you remember her from Princess Charm's school, is... Yeah, she's the woman that's running the charm school.
Right.
And she appears in a magazine that's on display in this. So this film...
God, that's
a deep cut.
Subtle.
But that means that this movie is in the same universe as Charm School, I would say. Princess Charm School. and therefore Tori should be going off to Princess Charm School at some point.
Well, yeah. Well, she's already graduated. Speaking of charm school, lest we forget that you were really hoping that it meant where you sent like sleeper agents to train,
Yeah.
right?
Which it kind of did.
So I have, yeah. So I have that for our next movie, which is going to be Barbie in the Pink Shoes. I'm hoping that it's a barbified version of Hans Christian Andersen's The Red Shoes, where the devil gives the little girl a pair of red shoes that can't stop dancing and she has to chop her feet off at the end, and then find God. I really hope the Barbie in the Pink Shoes is an adaptation of The Red Shoes.
Similarly, I wasn't going quite. Well, I am going somewhere dark. I was hoping it was going to be a sort of the ballet of the movie Michael Powell film, The Red Shoes.
The Red Shoes,
which obviously has its
spoiler
thing, where hopefully Barbie at the end will get so depressed she goes for herself.
Because she can't choose between her true love or her career, so she throws herself under a train.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have to say, The Red Shoes is one of my favourite movies of all time. I'm a huge Powell and Pressburger fan. And
same.
you can catch me on an episode of The Lamb where I talk about it and gush about it. But
it was the first episode I ever listened to. Like, it's, if you go to my Letterboxd, it's in my top 4 movies. If I ever get stopped on the red carpet by Letterboxd and they ask me for my top 4, The Red Shoes is up there. It's in there.
I love all Michael Powell's films, but in particular, I just think that's just amazing. But yes, I've got a feeling it's not. I think we're going to be disappointed again. However,
regardless, it's a ballet movie by the looks of things. Just from the poster, and I freaking love that because we haven't had a ballet movie since the 12 Dancing Princesses, I think. So I'm hoping for some rotoscope ballet, which is always a good time when we get some rotoscope ballet in there.
I've just got it here to hand. Princess Power's coming up soon. Let's have a look.
So Barbie in the Pink Shoes doesn't have its own Wikipedia page, which is interesting. Out of all of the ones in the list, it's the only one that doesn't have its own Wikipedia page. And I don't know why that would be.
I mean, it doesn't look like the recent movies. The cover looks very like something we would have seen from the first era. Dance your way to a magical adventure with Barbie as Kristin. Oh, for fuck's sake. Can't they just call them normal names? A ballerina with big dreams. When she tries on a pair of sparkling pink shoes, she and her best friend, Hayley, trademark. Honestly, it says trademark at the end of Hayley, are whisked away to a fantastical ballet world. There, Kristin, trademark, discovers she must dance in her favourite ballets in order to defeat an evil snow queen. With performances to the legendary Giselle and Swan Lake ballets, it's a wonderful journey where if you dance with your heart, dreams come true.
Oh my God. I am so fucking excited. I fucking love ballet. Oh my God, she has to, oh my fucking God, she's gonna have to go through all of the like famous ballets to defeat this. Oh mate, this is gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited.
I'm not getting overly excited because obviously I don't know if this DVD is going to work.
I mean, it'll be funny if it's genuinely like the freaking best.
But we've been here before, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with a Barbie movie. You cannot judge it until you've seen it because what you think is going to be amazing sucks and what you think is going to suck ends up being amazing. You just can't tell.
A fashion fairy tale and a fairy secret are fucking amazing. And those titles are so uninspiring. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yay! So we'll see you for Barbie and the Pink Shoes.